Well, just 2 years ago, it was November 2020, and earlier this season, we focused in on pornography in our schools, but without the common sense perspective. I showed you this video of when two 11-year-old boys were arrested for looking at porn in school. But let's look at that again, this time from a common sense perspective on a Throwback Thursday.
Two 11-year-old boys were viewing porn on a school computer. They now face criminal charges.
All right, so here's how it breaks down. They're in 5th grade, right? It's in Utah.
It's in Utah.
The computers are set up in a way that they block all the sites.
Yeah, they have internet filters.
But the guys broke through. The kids are clever, and they typed in the word lesbian.
They typed in the word lesbian, and apparently images popped up. And what they did on several different occasions is they showed that lesbian image to their friends, right?
As any good friend would.
Right. And what ended up happening is one of their friends went and told their parents, another friend went and told the principal. Yeah. So these two boys get caught.
All right, so the principal says, I'm going to suspend you. I'm on board for that. Look, I don't mind, and this is the most, kid thing you've ever done in your life, right? But you're supposed to have consequences for doing kid things, right? And if the principal suspends you for looking at porn in the class, that makes perfect sense, right? But then they call the cops. And they're going to do a criminal complaint against these kids for showing porn to underage kids. But they're underage. They're 11. Do you know how many of my friends would have been arrested if we all got arrested for showing porn to one another when we were underage? Every single one of us.
Right.
Okay? They'd have been like, it's go time, go, go, go. And they bust down the doors, and it turns out we're all showing porn to one another. You know why we did that? Because we were kids. And we were like, oh my God, that's what it looks like? All right? I mean, come on. Arresting kids for that?
Right.
God, that is unbelievable. No, but the reason I get so angry at this, and this is the story that made me really angry today, it's because we've lost sense of touch with all common sense. Like, it's just flown out the window. I mean, kids can't be kids anymore. What are 11, 12, 13-year-old kids going to do? They're going to try to find porn. They're going to type in lesbian on a computer. And everybody's head explodes. And by the way, you know what happened when those kids looked at lesbians? Not a damn thing. What happened? They all of a sudden became perverts or something? Oh my God, I can't believe it. If my 11-year-old kid, and I know that's young, right? But if he's not trying to bust onto a computer to see lesbians, I'm going to have issues. I'm going to be like, come on, son. I mean, of course not, right? That's too young, la, 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 right? But that being said, on a serious note, if I caught him doing that, I'd be like, all right, son, your mom tells me that it's not the right way to go.
Your mom tells me.
Okay, and I can't have it. But I know I did the same thing when I was 11.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so, secretly I'd be thinking, way to figure it out, man. He broke the freaking code. By the way, how hard was it to break that code? The code? Type in lesbian, you get lesbians. It's a great firewall on the computer.
Great internet filter.
Yeah.
And it's funny because one of the parents was like, the mother of one of these boys was like, well, how did my son even have the ability to access that on a school computer, right? And they're like, oh, all these porn sites, they're constantly changing their URLs, and they're being sneaky and finding ways to make it easy for people to find this porn, right? And it's like, it's so stupid. Like, okay, yeah, blame the porn sites. But whatever. Like you said, I don't think it's a big deal. Boys look up porn all the time. It's one thing to punish them and suspend them and, slap them on the wrist and talk to them about it. But it's another thing to send them to a juvenile detention center, which is what they're planning on doing.
And by the way, they're saying, and they'll get some counseling and something. What are you going to get counseling for? That your kid going through puberty and you're interested in sex, you're going to counsel them out of that?
Right.
What? Seriously, what the hell are you supposed to do in counseling?
I don't know.
All right, little Peter, I don't want you to think about your little Peter. Okay? You're having bad thoughts about lesbians, and we need to counsel you out of that. This country is we've become so, in some ways we go crazy, right? And there's sex flowing out of everywhere. In other ways, we're still so damn prudish, and we want to put these kids in a bubble and protect them from anything that is adult-like and make sure they never grow up. And it's crazy. I'm not in favor of the kids looking at porn, but I'm not going to send them to counseling or to the cops.
Right.
It's absolutely crazy.
And I'm with him. Common sense alert. It's one thing to punish them, suspend them, slap on the wrist, but it's nothing the same to juvenile detention center. They want to learn about sex. Sex education is the key here. I mean, I never looked at porn, but if I looked at porn, I never would have a great time with myself. Oh, yeah. Yeah, boy, yeah. I'm not going to be all too technical about this here, but this is a family show. I'm not going to go rated R. We're sticking to PG here for audience viewing. But the common sense perspective is this. I'm all in favor of suspending them, but I'm not all in favor of putting the kids in a juvenile detention center to get counseling. It's like this. You suspend it. Oh no, I got even better. Police! I got kids looking at porn! Arrest them! I surrender. Give me that computer. Let's look at that computer. Oh, that's what it looks like? Y'all get the picture here. Still to come. Pepper spray in our schools. We talked about this years ago. And now, because of one video, I figured he's showing with some common sense. Because after all, that's what this show is about. Raising some common sense on this Throwback Thursday. Stay with us. We're still focusing on pornography in our schools for a Throwback Thursday here, but it's also a great time to mention Senior Prank. Now, in our very first show, it was the very first season of the broadcast. It was May. It was during our very first season. We talked about senior pranks. Now, it's an age-old tradition where people would just come in, prank their teachers, prank the students, glass everywhere, like styrofoam, doorstop, glue to the floor, etc. We'll play that prank story in just a minute on this Throwback Thursday. But I want to look at kids. I want to focus on people. During the and earlier this season, we looked at pranks that have gone too far by people getting arrested. I want to look at other videos that have not mentioned during that time about pranks that have gone too far, like the porn prank. And this is also part of our Throwback Thursday. Take a look.
On ABC 15 right now, a senior prank at a Valley school that administrators are not laughing about.
A naked photo flashed to Copper Canyon High School's entire senior class. Noah Lonnie Graff is live tonight. First off, Noah, how does this even happen?
So word on campus is they're watching a PowerPoint and some tech-savvy student must have had an app on their cell phone that let them use the Bluetooth to turn it into sort of a TV remote. And it changed the picture. Administrators don't even know who did it, but they have already decided part of the punishment.
4 years of hard work in the classroom about to pay off. Graduation in sight for the class of 2016. At Copper Canyon High School, the seniors getting major kudos at an assembly for doing better than any other class.
The principal was talking, telling us how great we were. Our failing rate is actually decreasing.
Mid-speech, students say the projector was hijacked. Suddenly, they're sitting in on an anatomy lesson.
And out of nowhere, the screen, there was a male's
just all this stuff was out. They zoomed in on the picture so you could see everything.
Lots of laughs followed, not surprising from a group of teenagers with raging hormones. But here's the thing. Now, a group of minors have been shown pornography, even if it is just a picture ripped from the internet.
Not everybody's 18, so seeing this is something that other people may not sound funny.
As quickly as the picture changed, so did the principal's demeanor.
They heard that it was a Daniel, so they got together all the Daniels, and they reported to the front office.
Whether it was a Daniel or someone else, the students have been warned. Administrators will now change the view for the prankster on graduation day to watching from the audience instead of the main stage.
So I'm still waiting to hear back directly from administrators on this one, but by all counts, it sounds like they moved really quickly on this. They called parents at home. They sent home a letter just to keep them in the loop with what was happening. It's still not clear, though, Stephanie, what other punishment the student who's responsible would face.
All right, keep us posted on how it develops. Noah, thank you.
Common sense alert. Whether it was attending, you know who you are. As a graduate of 2016 in Flower Bluff, Corpus Christi, Texas, I am angry at you to what you did years ago. This was years ago. Wait a second. Eight years later, you decided to pull the biggest prank ever. I thought it'd be funny. And then you just get on your Bluetooth and say, I'm gonna show Nick a picture on the projector. And then everyone looks like goes, oh my god, my hormones are kicking in. That's what you get, sucker. The joke's on you. You failed. You chose the behavior. You chose the consequence of sitting in the audience for graduation. Instead of sitting in with your friends. You chose to do the wrong thing. And for that, it got you punishment. Let's look at some other, and now that we focus on pornography in school, let's focus on some pranks that have gone too far and gotten them arrested, like I talked about earlier this season. Mind you, sometimes during our Throwback Thursdays, we look back at other seasons. A lot of times look back at shows from earlier this season. That's what the term Throwback Thursday is.
Probably heard of the traditional senior pranks, right? But a graduating class in Texas is facing some serious backlash after a prank went terribly wrong. Here's correspondent Marky Martin.
The senior prank was supposed to look like this. Walls at Memorial High School in Frisco, Texas, covered with Post-it notes. The notes had messages written on them. Is that a fire extinguisher? But a handful of students elevated the prank. Fire extinguishers were sprayed, furniture overturned, and debris left everywhere. The school administration actually okayed the prank, with some staff members on site to monitor the event. But a letter home to parents this week explained what happened, saying in part, staff members were on site to monitor students, but the situation devolved rapidly, and the Frisco police and fire departments became involved. Students vandalized the campus to a point that classes are not able to be held at MHS for the remainder of the week. No students were injured, but their final days were canceled due to the mess and the air quality inside the school.
This can't be real, so I just kind of brushed it off. But then I went on Snapchat and social media and I saw all these pictures of people just absolutely ruining the school.
School administrators say there is thousands of dollars in damage, and the entire school needs to be cleaned. They've already identified some students who are not allowed to participate in tonight's graduation, but they are working to identify more students before handing over their names to police, who tell News Nation they'll then assess what, if any, charges they'll face.
It was a Post-it note prank. I almost would have encouraged her to go because it almost seemed funny, but to go to the level it went to, the damage it went to.
Caitlin says, among other things, she's disappointed she didn't get a chance to say goodbye to teachers.
Some of the kids are saying this isn't fair, none of us did anything that bad. Just goes all back to if you can't do the time, don't do the crime.
Reporting in Dallas, Marky Martin, News Nation.
Thanks for watching. Click the red...
You know what? Let's take a break here. Common sense when we come back. Stay with us. Common sense alert. As a former graduate of the 2016 school year in Flower Bluff, Corpus Christi, Texas, I am astounded. I am stunned what y'all did. Y'all should be ashamed of yourselves for what y'all did during that time. Same thing for these people, the 2016 graduates. I'm a 2016 graduate myself, and I never went and pulled any damn pranks. But if I did pull a prank, and they found out it was me, and they made me fess up, I wouldn't lie. I would say, yes, it was me. I pulled the prank. I'm aware of the consequences. I will serve my time in jail, and I will not walk the stage, and I will not get my diploma. It takes guts for you to admit what you did was wrong, and to sit there and say to yourself, hey, I gotta learn my lesson here. I gotta learn my lesson. When you choose the behavior, you choose the consequences. That's the key point in this world. You've got to pull your own weight. And being members of the community, you think about doing this at work, your ass is going to get in trouble, going to get fired by the boss for pulling pranks. You are there to work, not to goof off, not to talk to your friends, not to perform, but to work and make money. You think pulling a prank is going to make you money? No, it's going to deduct your pay. Because in real life, like I said, you pull pranks at work, you're going to be fired. It is that simple. It's that simple. There ain't no moral compass to this. There ain't no where do you go to sign out. Now here's one from Las Vegas from years ago.
Warning from school police as the school year wraps up.
13 Action News reporter Masa Saidi spoke with parents and students. She's joining us now live from the school tonight with more on what they have to say about this. Masa.
Steve, Trisha, it was absolute chaos here last night. Police were here. The cameras inside basically showed the kids gone wild. Well, tonight, some real consequences for those students.
There's a poster right here that was torn up. Those posters were torn up.
The vandalism visible even outside Desert Oasis. Pictures students shared show the glue, glitter, and graffiti up close.
It almost felt like an attack towards our student council.
A burglary at nightfall. CCSD police say up to 40 kids with masks running the halls. Tonight, the school not confirming how the seniors got in, but the talk on grounds.
That they stole the janitor's keys or they hid out in the bathrooms and stuff until the janitors left.
We're told doorknobs and stairs were oiled up, causing more than just a mess.
I know our principal was there from 11 at night to 7 in the morning. And she actually ended up falling down the stairs from the baby oil.
Did you have a senior prank when you were young?
Yes.
Nothing like this. This local mom only remembers Senior Ditch Day.
They've definitely changed over the years, that's for sure.
With the school year ending, senior pranks just beginning. A reminder to consider the consequences. Jail, fines, a ban from graduation. The punishment, some believe, fits the crime.
What they did is they put someone else in danger.
You're defacing and public property.
Destruction of property, burglary. In total, there were 8 arrests, but tonight the investigation continues to find those other kids. Reporting live, Masa Saidi, 13 Action News.
Now there's 30 more. Again, y'all know what you did was wrong. You may sit there and run and go, the police are here, scatter! Yeah, they're going to find out who you are, and then your ass is going to be thrown in jail and made excluded from graduation. This is from 5 years ago. Y'all have got to understand here, hey, I knew what I did was wrong. I need to face the consequences. Exactly. When you choose the behavior, you choose the consequences. And being seniors ain't enough. I mean, you may think you're cool because you want to pull pranks. This ain't cool. This is just a matter of saying, hey, I knew what I did was wrong. I should have pulled the pranks. I need to accept my punishment and not let this happen again. I mean, school's already done, but when the new school year comes around in about almost 2 months from now, y'all need to start realizing, hey, I can get through my homework. I gotta get through this. I need to focus on my homework. I need to not be pranking people. I never skipped school on senior day. I'm gonna tell you a little story here. Actually, we did a little senior skip day. We did one back in 2019, which was 4 years ago, which was 3 years ago. 3 years ago, we talked about senior skip day. Senior skip day is to when, as a senior, you would skip class. But not this kid. No, I stayed in class. If you were in Fire Bluff, you may have heard about, you may have skipped class during your senior year. But not me. I stayed in school, and you know what I got? I got 2 tickets to the ice race as a little treat for not participating in senior skip day. Because I'm a good kid. I participate in class. I participate in class. I go to school every day. Unless I had a valid reason for not going to school, whether it's medical excuse or improved absence by the school district. I was never suspended. I never got detention. I never got in-school suspension, out-of-school suspension. Never went to SDGC. It means Student Discipline Guidance Center, a little building from across the street, which it used to be until now was designed for the ready kids for here in Fire Bluff. I'm not going to get into all this mumble jumble crap. It may be a big deal. I mean, it is your senior year. You want to skip out, but I had 2 people who I might get to that, but we'll show you some more. We'll show you a senior prank that had a viral senior prank that's gone viral, including one who was on 2020 back in 2012. A bit later, but coming up next, pepper spray in our schools. I mean, we talked about this. We focused on pepper spray back in December 2019 before Christmas, with one video that was outrageously disturbed with the teacher letting parents know. Stay with us. Well, 3 years ago, we focused in on pepper spray in our schools. Basically to where pepper spray isn't even allowed because it's a weapon. But one video that I showed you, I actually reacted to, was about one teacher who sent a letter home to parents saying that there would be pepper spray for an experiment. Tonight you will see that video, but this time it's from a common sense perspective. Take a look.
These high school kids are being hit with pepper spray by their teacher. Look, as he goes down the line, screams erupt. The teenagers scream in agony as the effects of the pepper spray kick in. Some writhe in pain. The screams get louder. The shocking video shot by a parent is causing a firestorm on social media. Horrifying. No one should have to go through this. They're being sprayed with a toxic substance. It happened during a class on criminal science technology in a high school outside Akron, Ohio. The teacher is the town's former police chief, Jeremy Milford. The parents of all the students signed waivers which warned, "Dear parent or guardian, each student will receive a quick burst with this chemical agent. It will cause irritation and a burning sensation to the eyes and nasal area for approximately 30 minutes to 1 hour. I spoke with mom Melody Steinauer, who shot the video. That's her son, Zach. Zach, you're fine.
I obviously had no idea it would be that painful, but I was proud of them. I was proud of all the kids that did it.
It hurt for a couple days. Like if you went to go get in the shower, it still had resin in your eyes and it still burned.
Inside Edition security expert Steve Cardian sprayed me with an inert version of pepper spray.
Oh man, yeah. Now you can see this is spreading over my face pretty quickly. It's already in my eyes. My eyes are closed, but if I open my eyes now, oh God. It's down getting in my nose, your nose, all the mucous membranes, all around my eyes, your mouth. I can imagine if this was real pepper spray, this would be, oh my gosh, this would hurt like crazy.
Many of the students plan on careers in the military or law enforcement. They took part in the pepper spray demonstration voluntarily.
Voluntarily. But the requirement word is like this. The requirement is another word for mandatory. In other words, you're required to. If you weren't, meaning you're required to, meaning you're mandatory. But if you didn't want to do this, then you would probably get a failing grade. So what's the common sense perspective? Well, one, they got the waiver. Number two, they should have asked the administrator for approval. And if this didn't happen years ago, a lot of people would have been sprayed back then, and then a lot of people would say, I don't know what a lot of people would say, but a lot of times when you're dealing with people who are being pepper sprayed, what do? Nobody knows for sure, but if you're being pepper sprayed, you gotta know the risks. So on a future show, we will talk about what you need to do to prevent yourself being pepper sprayed. And when I watched this years ago, I was outrageous. I was stunned to hear those screams of being pepper sprayed in the eyes. I've never gotten pepper sprayed, but there are places out there on the internet where you can find pepper spray. Let's check out eBay. Now, if I had the HDMI Type-C to the TV, I would hook it up, but and I didn't have to go through all the mumbo jumbo stuff. You can find pepper spray on eBay for a good price of up to $13.95 for 2 packs. Some for about $20, some around 3-pack for about $10, which is a very good price. I don't know if you use it all or not. 4-pack for about $11. 2-pack for $16. Depending on what your pick is, if you go for pepper spray, try to understand to use it for safe use to defend yourself. Future show, we're going to talk about how you can defend yourself from other people, from thieves and all that stuff, and what you can do to protect yourself, how to protect yourself from using your fists to even using dangerous weapons that could really help you protect yourself from violence whenever you see police around. I mean, whenever you're in danger. That's on a future show. Coming up, a kid who played singing pranks got suspended. This kid got his RDT scholarship terminated because of his prank. And one senior prank was caught on tape that everybody went hysterical. Stay with us. When we focused in on Classroom Confidential, from student discipline to school lunches, there was one thing we focused in on was the pranks. We also talked about this we talked about Classroom Confidential, to where senior pranks have happened. Here's Nick Watt. Nick Watt.
It's that back to school time of year again, and guaranteed kids are already hatching some hilarious hijinks.
I never really was that into doing homework. I was focusing on pranks. You put the quarter on your forehead. We tell them, hey, I bet you can't catch this quarter from your forehead to this funnel in your pants. At the time, they were a little mad because they had water down their pants, but then they realized it was a joke.
Eric Striffler was the prank master supreme of his Manorville High School on Long Island, New York.
3, 2, 1.
His principal had no choice but to take notice.
He probably came onto my radar when he started to do his first couple of pranks. And I started to look online and see what this young man was up to.
I would say my favorite prank that I caught on tape is probably the courtyard dancing. It was such a blast, and everybody loved it. I prank people all the time.
Even his mom.
You son of a...
High school pranks are an age-old tradition. There are, of course, the standard classics now immortalized on YouTube. The doorstop glued to the floor. The post-it notes all over the place.
Who did it?
I don't know. There's foil, styrofoam, cups. In farm country, they lean towards livestock. And the good old desks on the roof. Don't forget the epic We Suck prank, where Yale students tricked rival Harvard fans into holding up signs that spell it out. A similar prank in Ohio earned this bespectacled mastermind a 3-day suspension, legendary status, and the admiration of his classmates. They voted him homecoming king. The senior prank is something of a rite of passage, but these young scallywags got started early and upped the ante.
Today we're going to do a prank on our teacher.
It's a global problem.
This is Daniel.
They're Norwegian.
So our teacher gonna totally flip out.
They pretend Daniel was killed by a chair. And in comes the teacher. Then she found out it was a prank. Childish stupidity? Well, it can get even worse when grown-ups get involved pulling pranks of their own. Teachers at a Minnesota high school tricked students into locking lips with their own parents. The students were blindfolded and told to guess who they were kissing. It wasn't the pretty cheerleader or the studly jock they hoped it was, but dear old mum and dad. The principal later forced into a mea culpa.
I'm disappointed that this broke the way it did. I owe anyone who's offended by this an apology.
I don't know how anybody involved, not just one person, said, maybe this is a little too sick, and maybe our kids won't find it that funny.
On a Canadian school canoe trip, a volunteer parent tricked 2 kids into eating moose poop, saying it was chocolate-covered almonds.
When he bit into the almond, he heard somebody saying, "You just ate moose."
Everyone kind of just laughed at me and made fun of me. I started crying.
I mean, that's just not funny.
I think that's great, especially because it's a flip on, it's the administrators pranking the kids. So I think that's fantastic.
Fantastic? Thank you, Eric. Eric admits to at least one prank gone awry.
We're doing a little prank on the nurses today.
So Buddy was to tell the nurse that every time he heard his name, he started dancing uncontrollably.
It didn't go completely according to plan.
The dancing fool missed his cue and confused the nurse.
Why don't you go sit in the back?
Wait, what's wrong? Wait, tell us.
Can't stop dancing.
What? He ended up looking like he was having a seizure.
That poor acting job earned them a day's suspension. Now us adults feel it only right to bring you a cautionary tale from San Isidro High School, San Diego, California. He was a grade A student. He was a good kid. Outstanding student. He was facing how many counts?
Well, there are 3 counts at 6 years maximum apiece. He could receive the 18 years.
This A-grade student thought it would be funny to set off explosions in campus trash cans, resulting in a full-force response from the bomb squad.
Albert LaForteza is in police custody tonight.
Held on nearly $1 million bail, the homecoming king, football stud with an ROTC scholarship in the bag.
Guilty. He lost his ROTC scholarship.
That hopeful future we had before, no longer.
It isn't there anymore.
I mean, when I was in school, it was mainly sort of water bombs and maybe pulling a kid's underpants up at the back. I mean, this is a different level.
And now the kids can jump on the internet and find all kinds of information on how to do all kinds of very dangerous things.
That's what Elfbert did. It's on YouTube. Must be okay, right? Wrong. Elfbert brought a dozen so-called chemical works bombs into school.
Just keep in mind that these things are very dangerous. The definition of these devices is lumped in there with hand grenades.
I'm sure he never thought he'd have to hire you.
And he didn't think he would have to spend 5 nights in jail.
I think the line needs to be drawn when you're aware that someone in the situation might not laugh.
Item number 16, La Forteza.
Just 2 weeks ago, Alfred had his record wiped.
And I will grant the petition on that basis.
Thank you, Your Honor.
He's about to earn an engineering degree from the University of San Diego. As we said, he's a good kid, and he's our cautionary tale.
I just want to advise seniors to just try not, don't participate in any kind of senior pranks anything that'll damage your future.
My advice for high school pranksters, you need to finish high school. You do not want to get kicked out.
And if you're smart enough to get into MIT, you might turn a building by day into a giant game of Tetris by night. Or somehow get a fire truck onto a roof. Ingenious? Absolutely. But still, deliciously childish.
Deliciously childish. That loco. Deliciously childish. Okay. But the common sense perspective about these pranks is just do your homework. Don't focus on your pranks. You ain't like Bart Simpson or Louis Stevens or TJ Duttweiler. Wow. Okay. We'll be right back. Do you all remember I showed you this video of when you want to film outside public, right? And then you decided to say, I shouldn't be doing this because I don't want to put them on YouTube. Well, here's Dave Whitley with some ways that, what are you going to do when you film the police? When we did illegal everything, we focused in on filming the police. People who have been arrested for filming the police. You couldn't be charged them because that's illegal. So what do you do when the cops order you to shut the camera off? In New Hampshire, there is a wiretapping law, which says you have to have the consent of all parties in order to record audio or videotape. Here's Dave Ridley.
This edition of the Ridley Report is brought to you by NHLiberty.org. You're being audio recorded.
You want to shut that up?
I don't want to. I'm not in a position to give legal advice, but I do want to let all of you know a little bit about the way I handle videotaping. By that I mean the way I handle video and audio recording, police, bureaucrats, people who don't want to be video audio recorded, even though they're in a public place. It's a dicey situation in New Hampshire because we have a wiretapping law here that says you've got to have the consent of all parties in order to record audio. How are you? I'm videotaping you and audio recording at this time. When a police officer walks up to me and I've got my camera, I feel like I have several options. The most dangerous option, and the one I never choose, is to surreptitiously, secretly record the police. I don't know of any cases out on the sidewalks and streets where a person's been arrested for doing this, but some people interpret the wiretapping law as forbidding it. It would be conceivably a misdemeanor to do this. The second option, slightly less dangerous legally, is to have the camera out, inform the police that you're audio recording them, and then see how they respond. Oftentimes they'll tell you to turn off the camera, and again, if I'm using this, option number 2, I will refuse to comply with the order to turn off the camera. But I do that very openly and as respectfully as I can.
I'm asking you to turn the camera off, sir. Are you willing to comply?
I'm not willing to turn the camera off. I am willing to back up.
Are you willing to leave, sir?
Yes.
Okay, I'm asking you to leave. Is that good enough?
This is only moderately dangerous, and I only know of one instance in which a person has been arrested for doing this. It was Cooper Travis over in Candia, a Free Stater. This happened about a month ago in November 2008. The incident appears to have completely blown up in the police faces. Authorities told Cooper they would arrest him if he didn't stop audio taping. They hauled him off in a squad car and never charged him with anything, released him within a couple of hours. The police chief in Candia, New Hampshire, to his credit, ended up apologizing to the family. I've spoken to an attorney about this type of approach, this type of recording, and she informs me that no, they don't really have grounds to arrest you on wiretapping charges when you do this, openly recording them in a public place. But they can arrest you for, disorderly conduct. She could seem to consider it a pretty good hill to die on, and that seemed to be the case for Cooper. However, my read on that statute and other people's read on that statute is a little more conservative and a little more cautious in that it could be interpreted, I think, to mean that you could be arrested even if you openly inform them. Even if you're out on public property, you could be arrested under the wiretapping law. By my read on the law, again, an attorney probably knows more than I do, but just looking at the text, I have to look at option number 2, the open recording, the telling them your audio recording and refusing to give up. I have to look at that as civil disobedience. And the reason I inform police that I'm doing it is not so much to conform with the law as it is to make sure that I'm deeply in civil disobedience mode. Because civil disobedience is not something you do surreptitiously. You're not hiding what you do. You do it out in the open. So, again, my reason for informing the police that I'm recording is, yes, it could put you in a better position in terms of the law, but the most important reason is simply to make sure that you are being openly civilly disobedient. Now, there's a third option. I'll call it option number 3, which is safer than options 1 or 2. What you can do is you can get out your camera when you see the police coming or when you want to talk to the bureaucrats or whatnot. When they tell you to turn the camera off, you've got that on camera, but you comply with the order. Okay, I am turning off the camera under protest or whatever. Now, this way you miss whatever may happen afterwards. But you got video of them telling you to shut off the camera, telling the whole world they're afraid of the world seeing what they're doing. Roger Grant used this approach at the famous open carry incident outside Murphy's Tap Room in Manchester. The police got some negative reaction because they had told him to turn off the camera. Well, Roger Grant got no negative reaction because he complied. Now, there's also option 4, which is probably the most cop-friendly option of all of these, and that is simply to have your camera ready at your side, in your hand, ready to turn it on if things start to go bad and you start to get desperate. I've used this option once when police came up to my vehicle, and it was probably the right thing to do under the circumstances. There have also been occasions where I whipped the camera out and considered turning it on, but kind of held off because I didn't want to inflame the situation. Well, in the second case, I wish that I had been rolling. So it's dicey, but my advice is if you're rolling the camera, be very upfront and open about it at least. And look at it as a potential act of civil disobedience for which you could go to jail. Now, if you look at the video description for this clip, be over there, then you will see a link to some writing that I've done on this subject, which will kind of lay everything out for you in a manner that you can come back to. It makes me very nervous that there are, a lot of people running around there with cameras that don't really understand what they're getting into in terms of the wiretapping law. So I just want to make you aware of the dangers. As many people as possible aware of the dangers. That way you can make an informed decision. This is Dave Ridley signing off from New Hampshire for RidleyReport.com this December 8th, 2008.
It's also good, a little message on your camera that says I'm audio taping in case you forget to tell people, and you will forget sometimes. So, the next time you do those things, listen to Dave Ridley. He is the best YouTuber with 32.7k subscribers. He quit because of his actions. But he is like ordinary John Stossel. I mean, like people say, like the maritime law says, you gotta have the consent of all parties. But the common sense perspective is this. I mean, this is all the writing from Ridley. I'm not going to read you all this because we're out of time before this Throwback Thursday. But on a future broadcast, Ridley Report Greatest Hits. We ain't going to say give me right to him, but we are going to make some common sense throughout his times that he's confronted with the camera. When he said, no, I'm not turning off the camera. When he should have turned it off anyway and then turned it back on, or got a hidden camera. One instance to where he should have gotten a hidden camera was from one event. We'll play that for you in our future Give Me a Break. But come up on Friday, no jaywalking. Here's a preview. Here's a sneak peek.
Jaywalker.
No, come on, man, please. I promise I'll never jaywalk again.
Nah, you'll never walk again.
The Great from Galvin Blake. Here's another preview.
No jaywalking. What's that?
Jaywalking, the dangers and using notes. Part of our safety break. That's on Friday. That's Throwback Thursday. We are going to be off next Thursday because I'm going to be out of town. Although we could do it from Kansas. It'd be a first. But it will be a short one. But if we do so, I'll see you on next Throwback Thursday from Kansas. And we'll see you again for Give Me a Break Friday. For all of us here at YouTube, good night.